Hello and welcome to the review. Thanks for joining us again. We are here at the fabulous Weston Pools Fishery on the clay pit, and we've got some interesting products to try out today, haven't we, Tom?
We've got three absolute belters. A rod that's been described to me as the best mid-range rod ever made.
Which is the Preston Monster 9-foot carp feeder.
It is. There's an X in there too.
Oh, I've always missed something. Okay, and
I don't miss any of my X's, but that's a different story.
That's another story. We've got the Cadence CP2000 pole to try, which I'm very excited about.
That's a lovely piece of kit. Again, something a bit different, a bit groundbreaking actually.
I think so.
The way it's been put together, the way the package has been organised, I've never heard of anything like it. Quite interesting.
And we also have a margin pole from Colmic, which is called the
Nucleare.
Nucleare. You've got to do it with your hand movement.
Absolutely.
And I understand this is a pretty strong piece of equipment.
Sean Stockley has told me to pull as hard as I can. Pull it as hard as pull it as hard as you can, he said to me. So,
And what did he say about the pole?
don't worry folks, you're not going to have an hour of this.
And obviously we are, in these current times, we are practicing social distancing. I mean, I'd have preferred the sort of the 50-metre exclusion zone that the court ordered, but sorry, I've just...
We've got three great products, so we give them a whirl.
We better crack on.
Let's do it. Dave, one thing I've always said, as you well know, is there are times in life when shorter is definitely better.
You've probably had to say that.
I have, but when it comes to rods, and particularly rods for commercial fishing, it's certainly true. And that looks like a lovely piece of kit you've got there.
This is the Preston Innovations Monster X Carp Feeder 9-foot. So it's a short rod, incredibly slim.
Lovely slim length.
And obviously this is a rod that's designed for the shorter chuck. You know, not just short range, you know, just past your pole line, 20 metres, that sort of thing, but also something we're seeing increasingly now is more sort of margin fishing with a method feeder, plopping it off, you know, just down your edge. That's becoming more and more popular and effective on commercial fisheries. So yeah, a very current and quite relevant rod, I'd say, these days.
It's a two-piece rod. It's supplied with three tips, 3/4 of an ounce, 1 ounce, and 1.5 ounces. You're going to drop it in down the edge and try and catch us one?
I'm going to chuck it down there if that's all right with
Lovely.
you. Okay. I've not practiced this, mine.
No pressure.
I laugh at pressure.
Oh, look at that. Absolutely lovely.
I won't do that again, you know. So
Well, one thing I can guarantee is I definitely won't do that. I'm going to drop it in front of this platform when I have a go. But
no, that doesn't surprise me. So yeah, so exactly what we've just done, really. I mean, you know, dropping down the edge and that, it's become, it happens a lot now, doesn't it? Because I think anglers are starting to, you know, realise that on certain venues, the big carp and stuff, they've wised up to the way we fish for them with margin fishing with poles over their heads and things like that, bright days. This is actually a serious way of fishing for big weights of fish now, isn't it? Ooh,
look at that.
Oh, straight away, look at that.
It's a serious way of fishing. An angry one.
Look at that.
It's a serious way of fishing. But
look at that action in that rod then for this side. I mean, this is, I imagine this will be an F1. This is the sort of thing that where these shorter rods come into their own, isn't they? Because these F1s have a horrible habit of fighting not that bad and you know, all the way in, and then you get them under the rod tip and you go to lift and they pull out.
Exactly what's happening now though. You know, that dogged under the rod tip action. If that rod was too stiff, you'd have pulled out of that fish.
Yeah, it's nice and soft. So yeah, this is what it's. But it's not just. I mean, this isn't. You know, this will be an F1 of maybe a pound or something like that. But you know, even with these shorter rods, with big carp, you know, 7-8 pound carp, they behave in a certain way. And I've actually noticed when I've used shorter rods that the bigger carp don't really know what to do when you hook them. They actually have. They're a very effective way of getting big fish in quickly.
I think two things on what you just said.
That
First
little
one,
beauty.
look at that.
There we go.
Good catch. Don't try and hold him up again, Dave. Quick while you're ahead, slip him back.
That little beauty. There we go.
Yeah, two things with regard to playing action though. With respect, I feel there's plenty of 9-foot rods out there that are perfectly suited for landing carp. It doesn't take that much in terms of progressive action to land an 8 and 10 pound carp when you've got a size 12 or 14 hook on it.
No.
It's what you just did there that's the test of a rod to me. When you've got a smaller fish jagging about under the rod tip that you've typically caught on a smaller hook, maybe, I don't know what you got on there, a 16?
16.
16 or an 18 hook. And that looked absolute quality, to be honest.
I'll make it look easy some days, don't I?
Well, it's not as easy as you make it look, is it, mate?
It's definitely not. But no, yeah, like I say, so, I mean, the rod itself, I say, it's very slim, but it's also very usable. And like I say, fishing at close range, you don't want something that's thicker and cumbersome. And I have used an 8-foot rod, actually, and I didn't like it. And I found that was too... it's almost like it became a one-handed rod. It was too light and too, you know, just this bit, the reel and the handle just wasn't, I'm used to feeling it, you know, and for me, no matter how close range I was fishing, 8-foot wasn't suitable for me. But I can see this length now. You're still fishing a proper rod, but it's doing a job. It's, you know, like you say, when you hook fish, if you've got big fish, I think that one might be on. That's a little one if it's on. Oh my God, what's this? This is tiny.
Good test though.
I'm going to land it because it's fishery rules. Oh look, you've got to be good to catch silvers on a method feeder, haven't you? Look at
You've
that.
got that one with you, haven't you?
Hey, look at that. It's a roach.
But again, there's nothing, to me, that's great. The fact that, you know, not only the bite registered, but playing it, you could see that was, you know, you were playing that fish on the rod. What was that, 3 ounce max?
Yeah.
That is a mark of quality on a short rod, because that shows that it's got the softness and the action to handle fish of all sizes. And that's what to me, that's what you'd pay for in a short rod, really.
I would add to that though, if you start catching roach on a method feeder, you need to look at your setup and what you're doing, and maybe have a good look at yourself.
Dave, stop.
but so let's talk about price range, because these aren't, I mean, I don't know what's expensive or not for a knife, but you're picking these up for about £90. That seems pretty decent. You know, I can't see.
I'd say sub £100 now for a rod is verging on. Well, it's mid price. I'd say budget would be maybe sub 60. Yeah, I think it's a mid price rod. But my question to you is, does it outperform that? Would you use this in your fishing? You're a top flight match angler, allegedly. Would you use that in your fishing?
Absolutely. I like I say, I've used an 8-foot rod. Didn't really, and you know, and felt it was. I used it because I was on a snake lake, you know. But I feel that these rods go. You know, you can go with lengths and stuff. It can become a bit gimmicky almost. Well, I'm missing out with that one. I feel like I would definitely have this, even though I don't do lots of this sort of fishing. This is at the price and everything. It's the sort of tool I'd quite happily have, and you know, I think it would be an important part of my equipment. But importantly, if you're like me and you don't do a lot of this, 90 quid is not. It's not a tool that you mind paying for and not maybe using every time you go fishing.
Absolutely.
So I think it's spot on, really. you want to have a go?
I think I will.
Go on then. I'll let you have a go on.
Let's get the Dettol out and let's have a play.
Oh yeah.
Look around at you across the street. Took a breath and I walked up to you. I said, darling, when can we meet? 'Cause now it's not too late. I want to sit away alone by myself. I'm not just gonna stay and wait. I wanna just decide what is to be my fate. Alone by myself. I'm not just gonna stay and wait. But now it's not too late. I want to sit away alone all by myself. I'm not just gonna stay here and wait. I wanna just decide what is to be my fate. Alone all by myself. I'm not just gonna stay here and wait.
Dave, I've got to say, you cleaned this down absolutely beautifully, but I do have a question.
Go on.
This rod comes complete with a lovely little holder right at the bottom here where you put your hook so you don't have to damage.
Is that what it's for? Is it? I thought it was an eye.
I keep forgetting you're part of the last generation of river anglers.
We
aren't
didn't have newfangled ideas like that.
you? Tell me, was it cold in the ground this morning?
It was. No, I do use that. But yeah, listen, you found the rod in perfect good condition.
Beautifully cleaned.
Yeah, I did what it was. I didn't want to get, when I was wiping it down with the disinfectant wipes, I didn't want that flavour to get on the hook.
Oh,
What are you doing chucking there?
well,
I've fed that swim beautifully for you there.
if I were to sit down and do exactly what you've been doing, it'd be dull, I would say. So we're going to try something else. I mean, I'm hoping to get some savage bites on this. And we'll see. Oh, look at that. They're on it already, Dave. They're straight in on it.
It's unsurprising really, isn't it?
But oh, yeah.
Ooh, is it on?
I think he is.
Oh, it's on.
The point is, a lot of anglers will fish this rod in that way. I mean, I see a lot of anglers at the venues I go to maybe don't own a pole. And for them, a tool like this, 90 quid, what a lovely way to fish the edges and the short, what we might call the short pole line, you know.
To be honest, it's becoming much more of an actual match method of catching margin fish, isn't it now? Because a lot of venues, these carp have wised up. You know, they don't like a pole over their heads and things like that. And anglers who are on top of their feeder game know, you know, like I say, to use the old cliche, the trap is set when a method feeder hits the water.
Absolutely.
And they're confident that there's nothing that's going to malfunction. It's a nice one, isn't it?
Lovely. Condition of fishing here are gorgeous.
But yeah, this method is being used by some top matchmen now are choosing to fish a method down the edge as opposed to fishing a pole, because these carp have got wiser and things like that, and it's seen as a viable way of putting a big weight of fish together, isn't it? And
It is.
to use the old cliche, it's setting a trap, isn't it? And there's, when you're feeding a margin line, there's lots can go wrong. There's carp, wafting tails and what have you. But with a method feeder, it's generally pretty straightforward, isn't it? Like I say, the trap is set, the hook bed, there's very little that can malfunction. So it's almost like a way of guarantee that you come back with a fish each time.
The thing as well now, Dave, on so many of our commercials, near side, the near slope, the edges, the bottoms are so uneven. So plumbing up and actually presenting a bait accurately with a pole pot takes some doing often. You have to find that flat area and then feed it accurately and present your hook bait accurately. This does all that for you, doesn't it? That's
Yeah.
the beauty of it.
And I think, as well, it's not just talking about matchmen and match fishing as well. Like I say, there's people who don't own a pole, who don't want to fish a pole, and don't want the hassle of it. And this is just as visual as fishing a pole, isn't it, down the margin? You're watching a tip, you're looking for signs, you can still see down if there's fish down your edge.
That tip's never stopped moving.
Yeah.
It's,
So it's still an enjoyable, it's not just a sit and hope or sit and wait, it's you're actually going through a process, how regularly you cast, things like that. It's all all needs thinking about, but it's like I say, it's a method that anyone can do. So maybe, you know, an investment of £90 in a short rod as opposed to hundreds of pounds for maybe a margin pole or something. I don't know. It's each to their own, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's look, from my point of view, I can sum it up quite simply with regard to this rod. 90 quid. What happened there? Weeded up. 90 quid. It's a piece of kit that, to be honest, I can't see how you'd improve it. It's soft enough to handle the small fish. It's got a nice, big eyes, nice sort of casting action. What would you change? I can't think what I'd change, to be honest, to make this.
No, I think its price is spot on, really. It's
The point is, Dave, if I were to say to you, oh, okay, I want to make this rod better, I don't know what you'd do. What would you do?
no. Do you know there's a time gone by where if you saw a rod that thin, you would think, oh, it's not up for the job. It's not, you know, it's not right. Is that on?
Yeah.
Little one.
Only a small one. It might not be. Oh, it might just walk up a bit.
Oh,
This is what I like about this. You don't feel at any point like you're going to pull out. You know, if this was a 10-pound carp, it's got the power to land it. But
yeah, you can see that in the action. That
probably going to be a 10-ounce F1, and I'm not pulled out of it with a 16 hook.
Tell you what, I've seen a couple of times. I've seen Matt, who's Des ship fishing with these rods, and he fishes that short feeder well, and he makes it look very good in all fairness, which he makes everything look good. But a lot of weights like catching you know, Carasio as well and carp, things like that. You know, it's this sort of rod you need for that sort of game, isn't it?
Well, I would say put any sort of lovely fish. Put any rod in Des ship's hands, and as you say, he'll make it look good. But the fact that I know for a fact some of the Preston consultants choose to use these rods in their own match fishing. So even though they are a cheap or mid-range product, you know, they have got what it takes to. Might have left the anti-reverse on there and caused a little tangle, Dave. Don't tell anybody.
You've not got a tangle in my reel.
No, it's all right. We've resolved the issue. But you know, I think that says everything you need to know.
Okay. So you're gonna have one more chuck, so you can catch me a bigger one.
One more drop.
One more drop, and then we'll do some pole fishing, shall we?
I think we should. Yeah, major advantages to me are this length. Obviously, you're casting more accurately to features. Like somebody like me, as you know, a little bit on the cack-handed side at times, not the most accurate a caster. And if I were fishing on a snake lake, maybe one of those that's 18 or 20 metres wide, and you're wanting to chuck to the far side,
As opposed to over the far side.
I think there's a few fish down there, Dave. What do you reckon? Then yeah, you know, this would definitely improve my casting. The length, I mean, you know, a 9-foot rod would definitely be better than.
Something needed to improve your casting, Tom.
Stop it, Dave. But yeah, a shorter rod's definitely better. You can be more accurate. Playing fish wise, you can land fish quicker because they pop up closer to you, as that one did. And the fact that it's soft as well means that small fish like that, you know, the hook don't pull out. They come in great. I think it's a fantastic piece of kit.
Brilliant.
Shall
Right.
we do a bit of pole fishing?
Yeah, let's change it up a bit, really. It's too easy, this feeder fishing, isn't it?
I met you when I was a little lost. Back when I was standing up so tall. Listen, and I almost lost it all. Back when I was just a little lost. Riding on a little motorbike. Working job and trying to do it right. Listen, and I almost lost it all. Back when I was just a little lost. But now it's not too late. I want to sit and wait. Alone by myself, I'm not just gonna stand here and wait. I won't let this decide what used to be my fate. Alone by myself, I'm not just gonna stay.
So we are now reviewing a pole by our friends at Cadence. This is the CP2000. It's a standard 13 metre package. okay, which we'll talk about more in detail. I'm going to ship out and catch one of these clay pit F1s because I don't think they're going to be hard to catch today. Famous last words. But talk to me what you know about this pole.
What I know about that pole? Interesting question, Dave. I've got to be honest, before being asked to do this review, not a lot would be the answer. Obviously Cadence as a brand, relatively new in the UK, and the profile's growing, isn't it, all the time?
Absolutely, and they've done you know, an amazing job in a short space of time with Cadence. It's you know, it's what it's done is when you speak to people, there's nothing but positives about it. You know, I've not heard anything negative about it. Oh, that'll be on then. And obviously the rods that came first have sort of been a massive success, but it's a completely different firm, isn't it? As a tackle manufacturer or you know, a manufacturer and seller of tackle, they're selling direct, which is the big topic with this brand, if you like, because what that enables them to do, as in the case with this pole, is to deal slightly differently. And as I said to you, this pole comes as a standard 13-meter pole with one top kit, right? And that doesn't mean they're selling it, that's what they're selling. But what they're doing is they're giving the buyer the chance to put their own package together. So this 13-meter package comes at £999, pound under £1,000. And then obviously you add what you want accordingly, you know, so whatever package you want, you put it together yourself. Now, this is where they sort of bamboozled me a little bit, because when I first saw that, nice little clay pit F1,
lovely.
We like these, don't we?
Simply lovely.
When I first saw that price tag, I assumed that it wasn't in the upper echelons of pole packages, if you like. You know, you look at your sort of, you know, £2,000 for a pole package, you know that's a flagship pole. So I sort of discounted it really as not being a major player, and I was hearing people saying that it was the best pole they'd ever held, and you know, some of the brand ambassadors were waxing lyrical about it, and I'd sort of dismissed it, and I realised that was wrong when I spoke to James. I had a long conversation with James about it, and so the idea with dealing direct, they can, you know, they can do that, and they'll talk to you and work with you about putting the right package for yourself. So not everybody wants a 16-meter pole, and this is designed that if you do want it, it's there and you pay for it. Not everybody might want 10 top kits, but again, if you do want that, they're there. You just buy what you want and you put your package together, and then probably, so for the average package, by the time you've put, there's a few there, I think, Tom. So yeah, so like I said, this pole comes as, like I said, a standard 13-meter package with one top for £999, but then you can build your package to suit what you want, because not everybody wants 10 top kits, not everybody wants 14 and 16 meters. So what it does is it puts the pole where it can basically be a high-end pole, the full package, everything the top, you know, a top match angler would need, or it becomes a club angler's pole, but it's not, you're not paying for stuff that you don't need. And that's the beauty of it, I think. And it's it blew my mind really, because I've never really looked at pole sales like that, or selling a pole like that.
No, I'll be honest, right? It's given me a lot of food for thought since I heard how it was done. And I'll give you my good points of it first, and then I'll give you my concerns. Good points of it are, first and foremost, how James Robbins is doing it, where it's the personal touch. Like, my big concern with maybe, you know, cutting tackle shops out, and the thing I've always sort of said in favour of shops is, you know, it gives you that personal link. You know, if you buy something and something goes wrong, you've got somewhere to go back to. That's the top and bottom of it. If you want any spares, you know, you've got somebody fighting your corner to the trade almost with stuff you buy. So James is actually doing that himself with this. The fact that he sort of said to us, you know, when I asked him what do people do for more information, he said, give him my email address, get in touch with me, we will build this pole package for people. Look at that straight away. So he's keen to actually be that man, to have that direct link with the customer.
This was what I was surprised by really, and the fact that he said that, you know, he said, put my email address, he said, I want, you know, that. He said, if we are dealing direct, we have to be direct. You can talk to me, I'm the boss of Cadence, you know, and I want to help people make sure they get the right product, not buy something and things they don't need. Which was a very sort of honest and refreshing way to think. But maybe just what's required of a company that's dealing direct.
Yeah.
But still, I like the sound of it.
I think it's fantastic. And the two companies who I know who are doing this really, really well, I'm going to give my mate Rick a mention again at Hotbox, because that's how he does it, and it's successful. You know, it's that personal link, isn't it? If you know that you can get in touch with somebody, they will, you know, take responsibility for helping you get what you want, then that's another reason to use a company, isn't it? Just as in the same way that going in a tackle shop, if you've got a brilliant sales assistant who helps you buy what you need and has that, takes that responsibility almost for your customer service.
Yeah.
That is what you need. So yeah, what an interesting business model.
Yeah, and I say I wasn't expecting that, and I say wrongly, I had dismissed it as being, you know, a lower end product as opposed to higher end, you know. But I've realised the way the pricing structure works, you know, and I look at it and the price wise, everything looks reasonable. You know, I've seen top kits. I looked the other day. The top two is about £30. Match top three, will cost you just under £60. You know, so it's not like they've done that and then they're loading the prices on the spares. It's just if you worked out the package you want, you pretty much get the value for money. You know, and it's not, like I say, you're not buying things you don't need.
No, absolutely. Go on then, first impressions. You're fishing as supplied, 13 metres. The only difference is you've actually got a power top kit in there. I think it comes supplied with a match kit in effect, aren't they? What do you think of that, Dave?
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, you can see what we're doing. We're just, there's a ball of F1s there, and so we're shipping in and out, we're catching fish. This is lovely, you know, you're spinning the rig over, it's all very responsive. Catching fish, you know, that looks nice, doesn't it? You know, there's nothing wrong there. I like the finish of it. It's got this nice smooth finish. I see this on more and more poles now.
Joint aligners there, now?
Yeah, it's real nice smooth joints. You know, everything just sort of like knits in as you put them together. It's not too clunky or anything like that. Graphics wise, I mean, one thing I noticed, it's got quite big numbered section. You know, they're bigger than I've seen on other poles. You know, again, I don't know whether that matters. I think most people get to know what section they're shipping in that, but it's there. It's visible. It's but then it's not got loads of big graphics on it either. You know, and it's not garish in any way.
No, absolutely.
So yeah, I like it. It's responsive. We'll put it to some longer lengths in a bit and have a look at it there. But yeah, first impressions is good.
Going back to the spare sections that are available, obviously you've got a power kit there which comes supplied with the puller kit as well. You said James may even be offering an elastication service. Yeah,
so what I say, it goes down the same ethos of that real sort of personal touch. Yeah. And he was talking about they've got a new website coming soon where they'll actually, so the problems you had before, like say some poles you buy now come ready bushed or with ready side pullers. They're going that step further. They'll go, well, actually, we'll elasticate it for you as well. We're only going to use top products. We'll put what you want in it. And that's another hassle for a lot of people, you know, that they don't want to, you know, you buy a pole, you can't just go straight out and use it because you've then got to take it to the tackle shop and get it elasticated or do it yourself, buy those components. So again, another little personal touch and another marker towards them dealing direct and having that real sort of, you know, face to the customers, really.
Well then, so stick a joint on then and let's have a look at that at 14.5 metres.
Okay, so 13 metres, I'll just say it's, you know, that's strong, stiff, stable, whatever, you know, it feels right. It's a nice bit of kit to use. So usually, you know, usually the mark of a pole is when you put the extra sections on it, it'll start to go at longer lengths. Now that's 14.5 metres. Now that doesn't feel much different to me. Obviously, I feel a difference in weight, but it doesn't feel like the balance of the pole has changed. I'll just spin that rig over, nice and smooth.
It's worth saying as well, they list on the website the actual length, don't they? Like, for example, it says on there that I think it's 12.58 metres is the actual 13 metre length. I'm guessing that's when you take the number one out and get it elasticated.
Yeah, it's quite exact in that way.
So that now will actually be probably what, a shade over 14 measured length.
And they're also, I noticed they're not out yet, but they are coming. They're bringing out an F1 top as well, which is obviously the company, which I think are absolutely, I couldn't be without mine now on any pole. You know, it's that shorter top kit to put your shallow kits on and things like that. Oh, I've got a dodgy bank here. You know, so that's another addition that will be coming as well. But it's all got, you know, it's got everything apart from that. You know, everything's here. It's got the reversible butt sections, you know, for your sort of power zones. It's got a short number 4 again for, you know, for toughening it up on you know, on when you're really sort of catching. I mean, James said, when I spoke to James, he said, look, this is an all-rounders pole. It's not a power pole. It's an all-round. You can use it anything. You use it on rivers, canals, lakes, commercials. You know. But I think what the point he was making was, if you're looking for a, you know, an out-and-out hauling pole, it's probably not that.
It's interesting you say that, because I noticed again on the website, elastic rating 12, which is typically what you get.
Yeah.
Back in the old days when I was growing up, when I was a lad, I dread to think what it was like when you were a lad, but they'd give you elastic ratings, and 12 typically meant it was a silverfish pole rather than the carp pole.
There was, when I was a lad, there was no poles.
No.
It
was, wasn't there? Wooden sticks and stuff?
A cane and a bent pin. Yeah. So it's that. But I know also as well, and I don't think you'll mind me saying this, but there's later on in the year there's a carp pole come into it to sort of thing, and also a margin pole as well. So there'll be a family of poles, you know, to sort of to tick each box really. It's certainly an interesting way of going about things, and I think probably a well thought out way, a realisation of the market they're dealing with, and what they're trying to achieve within that market, and a way of doing it.
Well, now we've got a big test for you then. We'll try and mug that big carp in front of you. See him? Do you reckon you'll have it?
Where is he?
Large. He's right in front of you, Dave. Come on. He's there. He's going for it. Oh!
Oh, I can see the swirl now. I've got white water.
Oh, he's coming back. He's coming back.
There's another one here. Look at this.
He'll do the old
Yeah, there's one.
11. Oh, he turned for it. There's one underneath it, a little one, an F1. You'll catch one there. I knew you would.
This is silly, isn't it? This is what's made me laugh with the lockdown process. Is like when people could get out fishing again, but there was no match fishing.
Yeah.
So you're going out pleasure fishing, and going, I caught 94 carp, and it's like you can see why commercial fisheries are maybe a little bit. It's not surprising you catch lots when you're pleasure fishing, is it?
But what a lovely way to spend a day. Sat in the sun.
Oh, and these fish here are they're awesome. There's something about this deep water and the way they think. Another thing as well, I'm not using them because I'm not in any rush, but they've got the reinforced zones on the side for the side pullers as well.
Yeah.
And again, another service that they'll be incorporating when they do that.
When you've landed that one, I think you should give this the acid test, and the thing that I think sets poles apart at the higher price brackets, and that's put that 16 metre section on, because let's be honest, Dave, it's that you pay for. There's loads of brilliant 13 metre poles out there for £1,000. There's not so many stunning 16 metre poles for shade over 1,600 quid, which is what it would work out at.
You're basically telling me you want me to work harder. Is that
I want you to go to 16 metres as quickly as possible, get back in, then I can have a go.
I don't think you should be trusted with equipment like this.
Wow.
Oh, another feature as well. Numbers 3, 4 and 5 section, or it might be 4, 5 and 6, I apologise if I've got it wrong. They've got the nose cones.
I think it's 4, 5 and 6.
4, 5 and 6,
yeah.
okay. That comes as standard, which is a great feature. Lots of people have these fitted. You buy a new pole and they'll get these fitted. Nice little feature. Means the sections quite often float, I think, if they don't just go shoot to the bottom if you do drop one in.
No.
Because some of us are a little bit clumsy like that.
Not you, surely.
No, not me. So that was a 40. So just to cap at 14.5 metres, I'm not seeing any problems there. You know, that's a nice stable pole. It's not flopping or anything like that. So 16 metres. Okay, so there's obviously you feel the weight difference. There's quite a weight difference there, but still very usable. Let's flick the rig over. I'll do it a few times just to get a feel for it. It's all right, isn't it?
How's it feel? That's a big test. Like, I've had it before now, any time. Oh, you've caught the smallest hide in the lake.
Yeah, the longer length catches you smaller fish. It's not always about length, see, Tom.
Well, I've been saying this for years.
You've had to say it for years.
But how does it feel? I've had it before, I've tested a lot of poles in my time, and sometimes they look amazing, but they don't feel right. But does that feel usable?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's absolutely usable. It's this thing. I'm just trying to, probably didn't have it out there long enough to make a proper judgment, but I mean, you've got to be good to catch an hide, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not all about F1s. if you can catch an eye, you know, you're putting yourself in another bracket. Look at that. What's they're funny looking things, eyed, aren't they?
Yeah.
They got a funny nose and that. Anyway.
Lovely little things.
Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't feel unusual. I'm trying to sort of whether I can make a distinction against other poles I've used at you know, or poles I currently use, and I think you need to fish with it a bit more to really get a feel. But it felt heavier than what I've used before, but at 16 meters. But I didn't really see any problems with the performance. It's still wind's the one, isn't it? When you get crosswind, that's always. I think anyone's invented a pole that can.
Stop
dodge
there.
wind.
I think it's only fair. Let me have a go now. Surely.
All right, Tom. I think even you'll catch one here.
Stop it, Dave. I'm going to go down the edge and catch some big ones.
No, you're not.
We'll give it a test.
All right then. Let's try and see if we can catch some bigger fish. Why is it you catch all the bigger fish? I have to catch the little foot soldiers, and you get to catch the big ones.
Some people are born great, some people achieve greatness, and some people have greatness thrust upon them.
And do you come into any of those categories?
Perhaps not, but
No. Right. Come on then.
story.
I'm going to have to give this a wipe down now, aren't I?
Yeah.
I'm not just gonna stay here and wait. I wanna just decide what is to be my fate. Alone all by myself, I'm not just gonna stay here and wait.
Right then, Tom. So you're gonna fish a different line. You're gonna go down. You're gonna fish this long up the margin now. So with perhaps a chance of a bigger fish. You always get the good gig, don't you?
Well, there's a chance. I'm just keen to have a go at this. I'll tell you for why. Because this 12 elastic rating slightly concerns me. I want to see how strong this pole is, and the reason is Cadence appeals, from what I've seen in cells, to an awful lot of natural venue anglers. And to be honest with you, river fishing, big flat floats, all that sort of thing, you need a strong pole, don't you? So for the core market, I think it's important this pole is strong. From what I saw of you doing, it looks strong enough to me.
There you go. There's your chance. Get away from the
this will test it.
Ooh.
Angry Dave, angry.
Is that a big F1?
But we pulled it out all right, didn't we? And I didn't hold back there. I did actually.
I think as well, one of the interesting points for me is when you're watching a pole and how it's reacting is the reaction time. You know, when so you struck into that and you were out of there. You know, it enabled you. It was kind of smooth enough, wasn't it?
Well, you know, I have been compared with some of the famous fencers and, you know, pole jolters of times gone by in terms of my
not by me,
legendary reactions.
You've been compared to many things by me, but none of the above.
No, I think, as you're right, that responsiveness allows you to do that. The stiffness allows you to pull it out.
We've got a beefier elastic in there as well. You want to watch them platforms, man. They do like them platforms.
They do.
Someone told me that. We've got a heavier elastic in that, and people, it's something I've always been quite particular about, and people don't always make this something. But if you've got a heavy elastic in, it does change the weight of the top kit, and it can change the way the pole performs. So I think is that a match kit with a heavier elastic in, or is it?
No, it's a power kit.
So that is a power kit. So
it's got the puller kit fitted there.
Yeah. So it's performing well, isn't it, for that, with that extra beef, if you like.
I was happy at that. We're just short of 16 metres there. It's a very good 16 metre pole, I'd say. Yeah, strength is there. The wall strength, ship out. You've got some confidence to
Feels
pull.
good, doesn't it? It feels
Yeah.
nice in your hands. Like you don't feel like you're holding a tinder stick or whatever the word is.
Tinned, haven't we? I haven't been on there for a few months since lockdown, Dave.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't know about this sort of thing, Tom. Again, this young generation.
Tell you what, if you want to go on, for your sort of age group and variety, get on that grinder. That's a good one.
I'm a married man, Tom.
Well, she's done well to put up with you. How long have you been married?
Isn't Grindr? Isn't that the one for the same sex?
Well, just have a look on there. It'll open your eyes. That's all I'll say.
It's of absolute no surprise to me that you know about this sort of thing.
So yeah, look, lovely and stiff.
That looks nice. That does.
Looks
I love that.
good. It's responsive.
I bet you can't feed on top of that float now. Ooh.
Just short, but I can.
Oh,
hook,
I've come back with the tiniest
albeit a
F1
very
in the
small
lake.
fish.
We were going down the edge to catch some big uns.
We'll catch some big ones in a bit, love. No, I like it. The butt sections could just be me. They feel quite chunky, maybe slightly chunkier than a Daiwa. So that could be an impression rather than fact. It's strange how sometimes you pick. I've had it before myself, where you pick things up, give your honest opinion on it, then you actually look at the science and it's different. But
Yeah. All right. And so here's a point, a subject. Oh, you've managed to catch a silver. What's that? Is that a roach?
could be.
Hold on.
Look at that, Dave. Am I not good?
I'll tell you what. I
Dave.
was surprised you were good enough to catch a roach.
Tell me I'm good.
Usually I'm.
Tell me I'm good.
You're good. You're good.
Good,
That's
aren't I?
nice. Just imagine that on a river on a stick float.
Oh,
Anyway, so yeah, you mentioned Daiwa there. I understand these poles. This pole integrates the sections, the top kits and sections will fit on the Daiwa. You're going to try and mug one. Oh, Tom, he's following it.
how did I not have him, Dave?
No.
It's gone down.
Gone.
It's
It's
too
gone.
deep.
It's
Too
gone.
deep.
Terrible mugging.
Oh well.
You'd think a Sheffield lad would know how to mug. Yeah, the Daiwa question. So apparently this pole integrates and will fit. These top kits will fit Daiwa poles.
And number 4s and all the way up to the number 6 section.
Yeah, I was surprised by that, but that's quite a I suppose it's a selling point, really, isn't it?
It is a selling point if you own a Daiwa pole and you want to buy something else. That feeding wasn't so good, was it? Your catapults aren't very good. Oh, there we are, lovely clean
You
bite.
missed the bite as well. It was an all-round show of poor angling. But anyway, yeah. If you so let's put that in a scenario. You already own a Daiwa pole and you're looking to upgrade or to change, and you've built up a nice supply of top kits. You can move those over to your new pole,
Yeah,
or
I like the idea. I think it. You say it is a selling point. It definitely is a selling point. One thing, I mean, I'm a Daiwa pole user, as you know, so I mean, it appealed to me, that idea. The thing that also appeals to me about Daiwas, more so than what I've seen of other pole brands, is the poles do hold the value well, though. So, you know, to me, you buy a Daiwa pole, you fish with it, when you come to sell it, it'll hold its value very well. And although you may pay, oh, that was nice clean, oh, bumped him. Although you may pay slightly more than other brands proportionate to what you think you're going to get, and I think that's true to say. I do think, you know, Daiwa, you pay for what you get, but the fact that it holds its value in the second-hand market so strong makes up for it. So,
but how does it? So I'll tell you where that would be a real good point is if you've got a Daiwa pole and you're looking to change, but you're going to keep your top kits, then you don't leave yourself much to sell, do you?
no.
If your pole is still in good condition, if you've used it to destruction like I would, you've never got anything to sell anyway. But so I find that's perhaps that perhaps wouldn't work. But just the fact that the two integrate, and then also I'll tell you where this is really coming useful would be if you fished a lot of deeper venues, Gloucester Canal, River Avon, where you need top 4s and top 5s.
I was just going to say, RRP on the website, top 5 for this pole, 250 quid I think it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's not bad.
So so what you're saying, Tom, is you could buy the top 5s from this for your Daiwa pole.
Yes. But you'd have to check, to be honest, whether it would work out any cheaper to do so, depending
Yeah.
on what dial
Ooh,
pole you've
Tom,
got.
that's a
You think that
proper-
one might be on?
That dragged the elastic out and it's only a little, isn't it?
Yeah, angry.
You know,
Well-
you know you've got your feeding spot on when they're dragging the elastic out.
Oh yeah. I've got to say, all things considered, for the money, this is a great piece of kit.
I love it, and I love the idea of it, Tom. It blew me away that, you know, and I know it's like you say, it's not you know, not always a popular thing, the selling direct thing, but if that's your business, then you've got to go about it in a certain way. And from speaking to James and seeing what he's doing, I can see that they're doing it the right way, in a very, very professional way, really.
Also, you know, let's be honest, you know, moral and immoral. We're in an era now where, you know, we've got some big corporations making a dent in angling, bigger than before. They're squeezing the little shops, for sure. Now, I love my local tackle shop. I use it as much as I can because I like the fact that I can get fresh, good quality bait. That's important to me as an angler. But let's not be judgmental, really, because these guys are only trying to make a living, and, you know, I think people try and turn it into a moral issue. It's not a moral issue, is it?
No.
It's you do what works for you and suits the kind of fishing you're doing. It's a changing time. It's a changing industry. This is a great pole.
Oh,
Should we end on that one? Should we ever go on the Colmic Nuclear Margin Pole, Dave?
no, we have to catch some big fish on that.
Yes.
It's not even up for question. We can't.
Large and in charge.
We're going to go and catch some bigger fish because you seem to have managed to find the smallest fish in the lake now.
Stop it, Dave. Probably another roach.
It is, I think. Oh, it's come off. We wouldn't. You'll never know. You'll never know. So there we go.
Yeah. Dave, do I look like a man who wants a simple life?
The word simple is in there somewhere, Tom. Oh, fantastic.
In this week's bag, for our What's in the Bag challenge, I've bought an item that may cloud your mind with anger when you see it.
What have you got in there?
It may confound your judgment to such an extent that you feel unable to hold back your emotions.
I bet it don't.
It's a packet of pre-tied hook lengths that I've been using in my match fishing.
For all your match fishing?
A lot of my match fishing are now using hook lengths pre-tied or tied for me by another.
Okay, so is this wholesale? Are you tying any hooks yourself now?
No.
You absolute lazy toad.
As it says on the bag, I am a man who likes a simple life, and to be honest, after a long day's work, last thing I want to do is sit down and tie hooks. I'm going to put the argument to you that they're that good a quality nowadays, they're that strong, they're that well made, that, to be honest, you don't need to tie hooks yourself anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I think this comes down to more about the individual, as opposed to. I think that the evidence is clear that the products we're getting from manufacturers now with regard to pre-tied are exceptional and without fault. I mean, ultimately, if you are a regular angler, you know, we're talking about match anglers using pre-tied hook lengths now, aren't we, as opposed to any sort of pleasure anglers who've done it for years and
Well,
had no
anybody who
problem.
cares about the fishing, and
Yeah, okay.
I mean, whether a match angler or a pleasure angler.
So if you know anything about fishing, you will know when you take a hook out of a packet and tie it on, or tie a hook length on, you will know if if it's tied right. If it doesn't look right, you'll know. So even when you tie your own hook on, you'll always look at it and go, and if it's not quite right, you'll take it off and do it. Now, so I don't think there's a massive quality issue there, and if there was, I think you'd spot it. The idea is that most hook lengths are everything's sent abroad and they come back pre-tied. You know, that ultimately they're done by cheaper labour somewhere in the world. Is that fair to say?
I think it is.
So okay, so there's an ethical point there. Okay, I'm not saying that's my view on it. I'm just saying there is an ethical point there. The other side of it, and this is a bit where I'm sort of I feel a bit embarrassed to say it, but it depends what sort of person you are. If you're a bit superstitious about things. My view on hook lengths has always been that I do use some pre-tied hook length, not sorry, but I tend to use the finer ones, you know, that I think sensors do them, that, you know, they're real fine when you're doing bloodworm fish and things like that. I've not really got the inclination to sit there and really tie fine hook lengths like that. You know, it's more time consuming, and I think it's about weighing up the balance between how much time you'll spend doing that and how many you're going to use. Bear in mind, on a bloodworm match at say Evesham or something like that, if you start getting piked out, you're going through 20 plus hook lengths in a session, you know, in a match. So I think in that scenario, for me, it's fine. But I always have this thing, and this is the point, I have this thing that I feel like you get out what you put in. So if I spend an evening tying some hook lengths, I feel like I've put effort in. I feel like I've earned some right to go and just draw an absolute flyer and win the match.
You do live in the west of the country, it's close to America, and I suppose it's a bit like the American dream, isn't it? Work hard, Dave, and you will achieve. Your efforts will...
It's similar.
What about working smarter, not harder?
I don't know, it's not really... I see it, I get it, but I still have this superstition. I think that's what it is, it's superstition. I feel like if I put the effort in, you get out what you put in, and I feel like if I do that, if I spend, you know, an hour, and it doesn't take long to tie. If you've got a fully plenished supply of hook lengths and just top up as you use, then it doesn't take up much of your life, and I'm quite happy to continue doing that. But I cannot argue that the pre-tied hook lengths that you are buying now are superb quality, probably better than I tie myself.
I think as well, there's an argument purely from an angling point of view, whereby if you say to yourself, I won't use pre-tied hook lengths, for example, like some people do, some people are quite adamantly against them, and then you don't have time to do everything you need to do, you could actually be putting yourself at a disadvantage by thinking like that. Whereas if you can buy a range of pre-tied hook lengths that cover every possibility of what you might need and go fully prepared for that reason, or maybe spend that time that you would have otherwise spent on hooks making sure your elastics or your rigs are dead right, you're actually making yourself a better angler.
No, I agree with that, and that's going back to what I said about the small hook lengths that I don't want to tie. You know, that could take me 2-3 hours to tie 20 hook lengths. So spending that time, that is time I could be spent tying some better rigs or something, you know, the rigs that I want that I'm going to need for any situation or something like that. So in that instance, yes, it would help my angling to have those pre-tied. You know, it doesn't take my valuable time away to something else. So I'm not going to give you a yes or a no on this. I'm going to give you, I think I'll always just tie a few just because it's for my own self, you know, for my own thought processes, really, just to feel like I've put the effort in.
I think that's a lovely answer. I think Dominic Cummins would be proud of you, very diplomatic. And we'll leave that one there.
The thing is, it's not a contentious subject in the sense that it's not going to upset anyone by saying, unless you say absolutely flat no, and then you upset the people who make these things. I'm saying, in certain circumstances, yes, but generally, I like to still my own.
I think it's a very emotive issue. I think you've proved it with your responses. 'Cause certain things you've said, you know, like, oh, there's an ethical issue. I'm just saying there's an ethical. I'm sure that Guru and Preston and the companies who have these hook lengths made pay them a fair wage. To be fair, I don't
know. Are they part of the fair trade scheme? I don't know. You brought the subject up, Tom. You tell me. I don't know. I'm just asking the questions. No, I'm not. To be honest, I'm not bothered wearing them. Most of the fishing tackle we use is from far-flung places and made, you know, because it's cheaper to make there. So I can't really use that argument, can I? I'm just saying, if you're that way inclined.
Well, I just thought it was a great thing to say, you know, when we started talking about pre-tied hook lengths, and all of a sudden Dave Roberts brings in there is an ethical issue here.
Yeah, but then I realised I was kidding myself. So yeah, no, I'm not using that at all. But
well,
yeah,
I'm going to put my pre-tied hook lengths back in my beautiful
Can I keep that bag?
And I'm going to continue with my simple life.
Can I have the bag? My wife will love that. Bit of Tommy Shelby. Yeah.
There we are, Dave. Looks like a good fish, that one.
Yeah.
And that's your first fish, I believe, or first carp, should I say, on a Colmic pole.
It is. Certainly handled it well, didn't it?
Well, you did pull it out rather hard. It was quite forceful.
It's not a massive fish, but the trouble is where we've plumbed up under them roots. We've got tree roots and everything under there.
Yeah, it's, we've got there the Colmic, big F1, isn't it, that?
Huge F1, that is.
That's massive. Is that carp following it in, Dave? Do my eyes deceive me?
No, that's a carp looking at it.
There's some fish in this place, isn't there?
There is, mate, it's crazy.
So you've got there the Colmic 10 metre nuclear margin pole. I've been really impressed with Colmic's offerings for, well, right since my magazine days, to be honest. They're bloody brilliant.
It's great Italian company, isn't it?
It is, and with, you know, it's rooted very similar to your Prestons and your Gurus in the UK in a lot of respects, in that its roots are in top flight match fishing. You know, Colmic Team Italy. Look at that one. Beautiful.
Like them, don't we?
Lovely fish.
Proper clay pit F1, that.
The roots really are in, you know, top flight match fishing. Sponsored the Italian team for years. They know what makes good quality fishing tackle. So, yeah, I mean, I'd just be interested to know, A, what you think of the concept of this pole. 10 metres. It's a power pole. It's not specifically a margin pole. You can use it for, you know, flat floats on rivers, that sort of thing. It's meant to be stiff and responsive enough to do that, as well as being very strong. So, yeah. What are your thoughts so far?
Well, I think that's it. I say this game's changed now. The whole power pole versus it's not a margin pole thing anymore, is it? You know, I've always said that, you know, making a strong piece of carbon for a margin pole is not necessarily that difficult. You know, lots of companies have done it over the year. You know, you can make virtually indestructible carbon, but it's been able to do it and keep some performance. And you'll notice, I noticed with these margin, oh, here we go, there's another one.
That's a good one.
Ooh, that tore off, didn't it? The big F1 or a proper carp this time? Another big F1, I think. Yeah, it's another big F1.
Nice fish though.
They, yeah, what I've noticed with these poles now is the way the diameter of the sections has expanded to make them they're more like a conventional pole now,
yeah.
Because that's the way you get the performance. What the technology has allowed is allowed for these stronger poles to become lighter and stiffer and that sort of thing. So, like you said, you know, these poles now are being used, especially in Italy, where they use them on the big rivers and that, when you see them catching catfish and stuff like that. But they've got those levels of performance, so they're not going to, you know, you can effectively you could fish the same as you fish with a normal pole. You could fish shallow, you know. And I notice all the top kits from their flagship pole fit this. You know, so you could use a lighter top kit or an F1 top kit type thing and fish it as a normal pole. And as I say, it's not just a lump of heavy carbon. It's got the performance to be able to fish in conventional ways.
Absolutely. Something I like about it as well is, you know, the ability to use some of the coloured kits with it. Like, for example, there's the pale blue ones we've got there. There are also some grey ones available in the Colmic range.
I like that pale blue. I've not seen that before.
It matches the sky, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it reminds me of the pellet wagglers. A lot of styrofoam pellet wagglers are that colour, aren't they?
Blue sky thinking, Dave.
Exactly, blue sky thinking. So yeah, I quite like that. But yeah, it's got, and it's 10 metres. It's you know, and at 10 metres, to be honest, it feels like you could be looking for another section. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't lose performance. You know, a lot of poles will lose their performance after when you get to the butt sections or whatever. Well, this one doesn't feel like that. It feels like it could, you know, I'm looking for the next section almost.
What do you think of the concept behind the reversible butt?
Well, it does. Again, it adds that versatility to fishing, isn't it? It's something that's common on lots of, you know, normal poles now. So why not on a margin pole? You know, like you say, situations like this. You know, I'm fishing up under these roots here, and I'm having to be quite precise where I'm putting the rig, because if I put it too far the other way, it gets stuck under a root and things like that. So you've got to be able to just, you know, sometimes that little butt extension just enables you to be, you know, to fish exactly where you want to fish.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. That versatility, the fact that it's obviously got the pole protector in the end of it, that's appealing, because, you know, the thing I've often found in the past with margin poles, or when you're doing margin fishing, snaggy pegs are often awkward pegs as well, so you might be shoving a pole back through a bush or along a gravel path, or even, you know, straight down along the banking next to you. So to have that in the end there just helps to basically protect the rest of the sections, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it's a good feature, definitely.
So how have you fed it down there? What's been the plan of attack up to now?
So basically we've had, there's lots of small fish in here. So the sort of corn and pellet approach, you know, and it's deep, the same as everywhere on Western pools really. The margins are deep, so it requires a slightly different thought. So what we've done is we've gone very bold, just gone with 8mm pellets, fishing hard 8mm on the hook on a band. Put a couple of big pots in, and now I'm just potting it as I go. And we've had those couple of big F1s, and I'm seeing more activity now from. I think that, you know, we're only there's carp there for sure. So hopefully we can hook one of these famous commons you tell me about.
The commons in here are absolutely wild. Typical, well, they are. I think they are. I say they're wild. I think they are actually wild carp.
Yeah.
6 to 10 pound, not massive fish, but by God, do they pull? Go absolutely crackers when you hook them.
Well, hopefully we'll find out.
Although from what I'm seeing in terms of performance here, Dave, might need me to hop on the box and show you how to do it, to be honest.
I won't be allowing it. I'm not allowing you on this box. I will not fail at this task. So what are your thoughts on margin poles? Do you use a margin pole now? Is it a regular tool, or is it just something you pull out in extreme circumstances?
Yeah, I always carry one. It's strange. I bought one when I bought my pole. There's a lot of people. Ooh. That's not a F1, is it?
I don't think so.
Very angry, Dave.
Oh, you said they're a bit wild, didn't you? Oh, crikey.
I told you. What hook length you got on there?
That's an 017 on there.
Yeah, I bought a margin pole when I bought my pole, and I thought I'd use it a lot more than I have.
Cool.
Tell you.
I'll tell you what, I'm not scared of the pole breaking. I'm scared of the fish pulling out there.
Absolutely useless.
That was, I think that might have been foul hook, if I'm honest.
And the rig's tangled.
Deep margins.
No, I use, I've got a margin pole. I do use it in certain situations, but very much like this pole, I tend to use it often more as a power pole. So for example, when I fished the float league at Bewdley, I used it when I was, similar to you said, what you carry yours for, I did use it a couple of times for targeting barbel. And I think that's the key. It's removing that word margin and probably inserting the word power. That is a great 10-metre pole that can do anything you ask of it, isn't it?
You know what I've started doing? I've done it a couple of times now with good success. Is when I'm faced in a match situation, when I'm faced with a venue where I think. And I'll give you Larford as an example, where during the Spessy Lake I'm expecting to catch on pellet waggler or straight lead or bomb, and then maybe later on some margin fishing. I've not got my main pole out, I've just got a power pole out, and I've fed fish, set up rigs on it to fish a short line at 6-7 meters, and then my margins. And that says more about the performance of the pole now. I can confidently do that. I know if I don't think I'm going to have to fish it long. I'm setting my stall out. Maybe knowing the venue helps, but I'm setting my stall out to catch. If I'm going to catch on pole, it's going to be short or down the margins, and it really makes your mind up. You go, well, I can do that because I know if I'm catching on those lines, it's going to be late in the match when I've really hopefully got to I'm going to get as much out as I can. So many venues are like it, aren't they, where the fish come in late? Yeah. And you sometimes you'll only get half an hour of it, but on a good day you might get an hour and a half of it. Well, you've just got to make the most of it, and they're usually big fish, and the quicker you can get them out, and it's not about dragging them out, but just being able to just give you that extra little bit of confidence to pull hard. When to wind it down, to wind down on that puller bung and just pull a bit harder just to get it up and get it in the net and catch the next one.
Right, and there's something you said there that rings particularly true for me, because there's the old maxim, isn't there, which is really good practice. If you've got an expensive all-round pole and you hook a big fish on strong gear, you don't pull back, you don't have the pole high, you let the fish run and you play it that way. But if we're being totally honest, with really wild fish or with big carp on strong gear, if you can pull back, i.e. get a little bit of height, get a little bit of angle on the carp with your pole, you're less likely to lose it. And it's the same principle as it is with a rod, isn't it? In that you're actually using the pole to play the fish, absorb the lunges. And as you say, like my margin pole gives me confidence to do that when I need to. And looking at that piece of kit there, I think that I'd do the same.
So here's the thing, that this is what I've found on extreme pegs, you know, where you've got like a reed bed or something where you know it's just going to be absolute carnage. If you give an inch, you're going to be in serious trouble. And you know, luckily we don't, you know, on a lot of venues we don't face that sort of peg very often. What's this one? It's a little one again. We don't face that situation very often, but on those pegs, I know it's, you know, some people, I've seen it before, they'll hook a fish, and the automatic reaction is just to pull as hard away from the snag as they can, and they come across at a very flat angle. Whereas that sort of like 45-degree angle is perfect for margins. It took me a while to work that out, but you know, it's sort of, as well as pulling them away from the snag they're trying to get towards, being able to give them that angle as well, so their head's being pulled up as well as away, it's sort of like a double team on them. And with these elastics we use now as well, I find that
a double team, eh?
Double team.
Can't beat it, can you?
Yeah. But it's, you know, it's quite, you know, it's really exciting fishing when you get those sort of pegs. Ooh.
It's always nice when you get a brief off somebody. What Sean said to me, Sean Stockley at Colmic, he said, pull as hard as you want with that pole.
That's always dangerous.
Words. And to be honest, this is exactly the sort of fishing when sometimes you do have to do that, because there's not only the snags to get them away from, but there's that, in this situation, the platform's come out a long way.
Yeah.
If this wanted to do me under there, then it could do. It's a lovely dark mirror, that is. See what I mean? It's trying to go underneath all the time.
I thought it was dark commons in here. That's what you kept going on about.
Yeah, you'll get a dark common.
We'll get a dark mirror as well now, have we?
And these are the size of fish that fight the hardest, aren't they? 3, 4, 5 pound carp. Look at that. Oh, come here.
Yeah.
Get him round where we can net him. Yes.
Well done. Nice.
Simply lovely. Look at that. I've got to say, top marks to Colmic on that. It doesn't feel when you're fishing down there like you're fishing with a margin pole, Dave.
That's what I say. It's more. They're wider diameter. They're more usable. They're lighter, stiffer.
I'll tell you what I like as well. It's a good length of elastic. I mean, what's in that? 7 foot maybe? Not quite. 5. What's that?
6 foot.
6 foot of elastic. It's a nice amount for edge fishing. It just feels like you've got enough cushion that you're not going to rip the hook out, but at the same time you've got the power to really use the pole to get the fish out where you want to get it out from, doesn't it?
Sometimes find that with the normal poles, when you put heavy elastics in your normal top, because you feel like it's over, you can almost feel the difference in them, whereas this way, you know, that's a big elastic in there, and but it doesn't feel out of place in there, does it?
Not at all. I feel like you can do what it needs to do without being too brutal. I mean, you had a couple of nice F1s, a couple of smaller F1s. You didn't bump them or rip the hook out, did you?
No.
Feeding a few 8mm pellets, dropping the rig on top. Loads of indications, a real mix of sizes of fish. Oh, missed that one.
So many fish in here, aren't there? That's the thing. You're getting like all those F1s. They're all competing.
And they've actually moved some. It's difficult to get as tight as we were earlier, isn't it? Because they've sort of moved the vegetation away from the bank a bit.
Yeah, we've had to do a fair bit of gardening there. You can thank me for that later, by the way.
You've been doing a bit of gardening through lockdown, Dave, haven't you?
Not much, no.
I was hoping for some homegrown Swedes or something today.
No, I'm not a gardener. Rhubarb, I did some rhubarb. Oh, here we go.
Angry.
Here we go.
Come on.
Pull.
Oh.
No, Tom, you could have been a hero. You could have been a
Probably
hero.
pulled a bit hard. Probably got a bit carried away there, Dave.
You're scared of them roots, aren't you?
When a man says to you, pull as hard as you can, though, you do, you do, don't you?
I don't know. No man's ever said that to me, Tom.
You've got a sheltered
And I'm
life, Dave.
completely unsurprised that someone has to you.
Let's get another one. Again, a few 8mm pellets. Imagine if you fed particles or ground bait down there, you'd have an absolute nightmare, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's a ground bait venue, is it?
So many fish in here. Float's just not stopped still yet. Indications, indications, indications. What's your favourite margin bait combo, Dave, if you had to choose?
I like paste. I love paste for margin fish, you know, for like snaggy pegs. And the reason I like it is because I can fish as heavy as I want, as big a hook as I want.
You're an absolute animal, aren't you?
Sometimes you got to let the mongrel out in you know, and that's paste
Absolutely.
allows that for me. Have you caught the tree there, Tom?
I might have just let the mongrel out of myself.
Very skillfully handled. Yeah, I do. I like to be able to pot it. You know, like use a pot to like sort of pot it into exactly where you want it to be. Big ball of paste with a load of pellets around it, and I just find they'll come in and it's a quick bite, unmistakable bite, and a nice big hook to, and then you can pull as hard as you want them.
Absolutely. But you'd have some fun on paste on here, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Thing is, even when you sat fishing with this, I mean, I know we haven't got the half extension in at the minute. We're probably, what, 9 metres there, I'd guess. But that's lovely to fish with.
Yeah.
Not a massive fish, this, but
I'll tell you what, get this one in. I've got a little challenge for you, Tom.
a challenge, Dave. You know me, I love a challenge.
Well, I wouldn't offer it to many people, but you seem up for the task.
Hit me with it. Go on, what do you want me to do?
Right, okay, so while I've been getting bored watching you, I've been sneaking a couple of pellets down the edge here in between these two platforms.
Right.
And I've just seen a fish down there.
Have you?
Now, it's a brave man that would put a rig in between two platforms like that.
It's a brave man, but I'm in a very fortunate position
Well,
because it's your rig. So.
but it's not my pole.
Well,
So, if
Sean
Col-
said to me, pull as hard as you want.
Well,
so.
you might just have to. Now, I've only seen one down there, but I'm confident that he won't have been on his own. So, I think it's the same depth pretty much around this margin, isn't it? So I reckon you'll know if you're on the bottom with the weight of a pellet. So I reckon if you just sneak it into the bank here, but you're gonna have to be on your game here, Tom. You know.
The top kit challenge.
You get this wrong and it could be tragic.
It could. Dave, I've had 33 years of failure up to now. Let's have a go at it. Going in about there.
That's it.
Let's just see. That one did not
He's
like
off.
it.
He's not happy. Not happy.
Is that
Tom.
challenge? Well, it's not challenge completed.
No,
Bloody
you're
hell.
gonna get busted.
That one is angry, Dave.
It's a
Angry.
Decent fish that is as well.
Is it in the mouth? I think it is.
It
A
is in
clean
the
bite.
mouth. I think it's in the mouth, Tom.
Well, it's certainly testing the top kit to the max, but I think that's a lovely length of elastic, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously I've now got to manoeuvre this back past your... Am I allowed to use the pole to play it or not?
Oh, that's lovely. That is.
It's not happy.
It's not happy, but it's hooked.
This just feels like it's got strength in volumes here.
Yeah, that's what this sort of fishing's all about, isn't it? It's having that confidence now. This could be the last 10 minutes of a match and you've got time to go in and have another 2 or 3. It's being able to ramp it up, or just enjoy catching big fish, knowing that you're not going to trash your pole.
Absolutely.
Is that a common, Tom?
That's one of the big dark commons I
Big dark
described earlier.
commons. Yeah, I like it.
And you see what I mean about how they fight, Dave? Bloody angry fish,
Yeah.
aren't they?
I think I'd be angry if I lived in 40 foot of water.
I'd rather live in 40 foot of water than Hereford, to be honest.
I can't believe you said that. We're back to storm offset. I'll be in my trailer.
Here we go. Oh, it's trying. I tell you
Oh,
what,
he's
they know
going to
where
do you
they're going,
again,
don't
Tom.
they?
He's going to do you again.
No, it's not.
Oh, that is a lovely fish, that is. Oh, get some more on that puller, Tom.
Come here.
This common is in danger of making a fool of you, Tom.
Stop it, Dave. No need.
Here he goes. Look,
All
going
I've
back
ever
where he came
done,
from.
all I've ever done is try and help you. Never take the mickey. I've never took the mickey, and all you do.
You've just
Bring me
insulted.
down.
You've just insulted every Herefordian, mate. You deserve everything that's coming your way.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Have
Well,
I
there's-
not completed the challenge?
You have, and in all fairness, that was fantastic. And I felt like I was part of it because I was feeding and I was here and I could see the float.
You have shared in the success. This is every bit as much your fish as it is mine. And what a lovely way to end the review.
It's been good, isn't it? I do love this clay pit. Like you say, it's something different, isn't it? Even just down to the fish like that. A dark common. Look at
The
that.
mythical dark common, as previously described.
Lovely.
Lovely. Well, Dave, 3 brilliant products, lovely venue. Quite enjoyed that.
It's wonderful. Absolute wonderful place, Weston Pools, and this clay pit is it's a little bit different, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you did eventually get to see the big angry common.
Well, yes, these the mythical angry common, and in all fairness, I made you work hard for it. Made you go into the danger zone, didn't I?
Yeah, well, as you know me, I laugh in the face of danger.
Not the first time you've been to the danger zone. And on that note,
On that note, folks, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
see you next time.